So people, today I'm talking about what does a successful footballer look like? Somebody who makes it. And when I mean make it, I mean playing at a very high level and staying there consistently. There's some ingredients, because listen, there's players who have talent and they just don't play at the highest level. It could be down to work ethic, it could be down to just not understanding the game. But there's something that every pro player at the top understands, and they have the same thing, and that's IQ. They understand where they should be off the ball, and understand whether the next move should be 2 touches, that next move should be 1 touch, etc. Based on the video that I did previously, which I exposed the 3 types of footballers. Number 1, which is being somebody who has no clue what's going on in the game, who just freezes on the ball, panic, don't know, they only make a decision when the ball's at their feet. That's somebody who's amateur. You will not make it, just clearly just saying it as it is. Number 2 is a player who goes by the places of reaction, so they only respond to what's happening by the opposition. So if the opposition shows you one way, you only think about that first pass. You don't think about whether that player that you play to can make a second pass or third pass. You're not thinking 2-3 moves ahead, and that's where a lot of players in the UK is stuck at today. 90 to 95% of players play in this place of reaction. And when you come to stage 3, which is somebody who's anticipating, which is what I'm talking about today, is where you're thinking 2 to 3 moves ahead, and you know, you're basically, your mindset is why, when, not about how, is why and when. Okay, or when I need to make the pass, why I need to make it this way, do I need to take and then next is the how. Do I need to take a touch outside my foot? Do I need to bounce it first time? Do I need to let it roll across my body and then play it across the box first time because I see him running at the back post? These are the sort of things that are going on in your mind, pictures and screens. So today, let's talk about how do you become a anticipated type of footballer who ultimately makes it. Number 1, you've got to become a student again. You see in my previous video, I talk about studying, how to study a player, how to study a game. Go and watch previous games. And something that one of the subscribers on the YouTube channel, he put a very good comment, which was very intriguing actually. And it's something that I did previously when I started doing this, which is that I will freeze the video, and basically whatever happens, I'll give you 10 seconds to make a decision. You have to guess if the player is going to do A, B or C. To be fair, 10 seconds is too long, but I started at, I think I was like 5 seconds. I did it when Neymar was dribbling, and from then you had to choose. So what happens when you pause the video, when say if you're looking at, all right, Martinelli, for example, you're a winger, you want to look at before he receives the ball, you got to pause it within 5 seconds, make a decision around him. What can he do? Can he control it? Can he spin, etc.? And then unpause it, and then literally see what happens. And then you can make a judgment to say whether what he did was right or wrong, based on what he's happening. And if he said, and if he, for example, rolled the ball across your shoulder, of his shoulder, and you didn't anticipate that, you can say, okay, why did he do that? Okay, he's trying to do that because he's trying to buy time, because he sees Jesus run into the box or whatever. So doing that task of freezing the full match and then giving yourself 5 to 10 seconds to write down or to guess what's going to happen next teaches you about always making the move 2 to 3 moves ahead. I think 5 seconds probably max. Don't do 10 seconds actually, just do 5 seconds and you will probably see a good difference. All right, number 2, this one is probably the biggest one, is to put yourself in a situation when you're training with older or experienced players. Even if it means that you have to pay for a good one-to-one session with one of these top one-to-one coaches who are training professionals. Okay, not these ones who've got, you know, guys who are aspiring to be footballers, whatever. I'm talking about those who have training professionals on a consistent basis. And you know, whether you know, you can have a session with them, you can afford it, or 2, if they're doing group sessions that you can join, and that way you're playing with experienced and technically sharp players. Because what happens is when you're playing with people that are better than you, you have to level up. The techie players that I've always known, the game is always faster. The game is sharp. When I see players who are not technically sharp, the game is at some tempo that is just not match pace. And I always say it, you've got to play at match tempo. When I went to the session on Sunday, one of the things I did, I took my stopwatch out and I timed how long did each player take on the ball before making the next decision. And roughly, it was about 7 to 12 seconds. And that's far too long. That's not match pace. Unless it's building up from the back. And I wasn't even counting from building up the back. I was talking about from when you're talking about in the midfield area. Guys were holding the ball too long, dribbling in and out. It was too long. That is not match tempo. You don't have that much time in the game to do 7 seconds to 12 seconds to turn around the midfield, etc. That is just unrealistic. So playing with older players and experienced players will make sure that you have to level up your game. All right. Now, just by doing these two, and the third one, which is a very, very good one, is to do brain training games that helps your brain to flow consistently. Like I said, Lumosity is a very good free game that you can download. I don't have no affiliation with them, so I'm not trying to sell anything. Just go and download it. I think they give you like 3 games to do per day, and then if you want to pay a subscription, which is pretty expensive, you could do that. And if you're on Android, there's something called brain training you can do. That also helps your brain to make decisions quicker, because that's another thing as well. And I'm going to talk about in my next video about scanning, because everyone's talking about the difference between pros and semi-pros and that they scan. But I'll tell you this, there's no point scanning if you can't process information. Everyone could turn this, look over the shoulder, but it's what you're saying and what you're anticipating. So let me know what you think about this video.